The madman actually went ahead and did it. The Yu-Gi-Oh content creator went and played Yu-Gi-Oh for fun. For no gain, no personal glory, other than for just the thrill of the fight. Would you believe that there are people who log into this game and take part in this system? Today, I want to talk a little bit about my experiences going through the Master 1 grind and then eventually some of the gameplay of rated mode, something that occurs once you hit the Master 1 section. I will be keeping this fairly generic and open-ended because ultimately how good the game is entirely dependent on the card pool and the format itself, so I want to speak about this a little bit more conceptually. This is the first time I have ever went and achieved Master 1 and entered the rating mode of Master Duel, despite it being a function for more than a year, I think, at this point. I have never went ahead and bothered to attempt to do this. It really took something like Dracotail, a deck which I cannot understate how much I have fallen in love with this archetype, to be able to actually give me the drive and interest to playing the format. For the last 2 years or something, we've had Snake Eye, Malice, and for me that just sounded like an absolute miserable time. So rather than sticking to the specifics and intricate details of the format itself, which ultimately is not really the purpose of this video and what my entire yap is going to be about here, I do want to keep this a little bit more general. This is the deck list here, nothing too special or spicy. It's a Fiendsmith engine instead of the Spoon or Pure or Branded, just based off the fact that I actually really like Fiendsmith and I'm more comfortable with it. I haven't tried the Magista Spoon stuff yet. From what I understand, it's probably better than Fiendsmith. It's just kind of like I'm just more familiar with this and it's got a lot of advantage to it. So I'm not going to give you a profile or get into the specifics of it. Like I said, we're going to talk about the game mode conceptually, but a quick shout out to Think Twice's Nezu for giving me the deck or posting on Twitter and I stole it. Ha! Owned. And so I actually went ahead and did this last season as well. You can see I achieved the rating last season, meaning I actually hit Master 1 and then went into and entered the rating mode with Orca. So I've now done this with 2 separate archetypes. So I feel like I have a bit of an understanding or basis of what it is like to do the Master 1 grind. I was particularly happy about this one because I just been playing on and off because, as you can imagine, someone with a 2-year-old in the house, it's kind of hard to you know, focus on your games and stuff like that. And occasionally, when he wakes up from his nap, I gotta just literally scoop a game because he's crying. So, you know, it is what it is. It was really nice over the course of this weekend just to jam a couple of games in between naps and, you know, duties and chores and stuff like that and other work. This guy's doing work, by the way. YouTuber is working. I hope you guys have been enjoying the daily uploads. I am very likely hitting my target goal of 31 videos this month. So big shout outs to the editors, especially, who have been backing me with all of the consistent turnaround times. So I was jamming a bunch of games. I hit Master 2 on Sunday, I think. I loaded up today and I just went on an absolute tear. I went, I think, like straight from Master 2 to Master 1 on like a 6 or 7-0 victory streak. Then I actually played a couple of games and rated as well. And for those of you who don't know how this works, you hit Master 1 and then you get the ability to enter the rating duel mode. So this here is where all the fun begins. I have played 2 total games so far. I won 1 and then lost 1. And the way that this works is essentially you have a rating here. You get probably in the region of like 5 to 8 points per victory. And then you climb all the way up to the whatever the ranking is here. You can see the leaderboard is here for the top 10. Big, massive issue I noticed immediately out of the gate when I got to rated mode. There is no ability to see how you're doing. I don't know what my rank is. I don't know where I am in this entire, you know, ordeal here. Like, mathing a little bit out here, we got 1780 minus 1500 is about 280. If we are, I mean, I don't know how it works at the more upper echelons, but I am getting about 8 points per victory. Dividing that by 8 wins means you gotta go 35 surplus victories to reach rank 1. Ah, it's easy, just get 35 wins, right? But the biggest issue that I found with this that I was really perplexed by is this does not update dynamically. I don't know if I'm ranked 10,000, 20,000. I don't know how many people are presently here. This is baffling to me because as someone who has played a digital card game before, Hearthstone, when you hit Legend status, Legend gives you a number. There, it tells you you are top 200 Legend, top 100 Legend. Master Duel gives you these percentages. Now, currently I'm in the top 50% because, I mean, I guess, like, you know, it's writing your name on the exam paper. Well done, you showed up. Top 50%, you would think you go in, enter, win a game, you would get top 47% or whatever. This number apparently does not update until top 5%. There is this massive chasm and disparity between a top 5% and a 50% player. There is no sense of progression. That's my biggest complaint here. I played like 10 games or something last season. I obviously didn't get very far. I almost hit 1600. And the game doesn't tell you where you are. It's just top 50% until you bang, hit top 5%, which I want to say is almost around about 1600 rating. 1650-ish or something, depending on the season or whatever. The fact that there is not like some sort of progressive system to show you your rank is, I think, embarrassing. Like I understand, like obviously, like as a person, you just look at the number and then that number goes up progressively. But if you're really competing and you're just trying your best to see how well you can do in a season as an individual and a person, I would like to see where that number stacks, because I just think psychologically it makes more sense and it gives you more of a sense of progression of where you are as you go through the system, depending on what that number is. Am I 7,000th in the world? Am I 700th in the world? I don't know. So I won't actually know what numerical rank I am until I hit top 5%, which even then, that's not a numerical rank. That's a percentile. That's top 5% of 10 people, a million people. Like, what does that mean? And so it's not giving me much of a drive or incentive to progress, because unless I get really good, like significantly better to hit top 5, and then I think from there, by the way, the increment is then top 0.5. So you gotta understand there's a difference between a top 5 and a 0.5% player. How would you ever know that? It would be nice to see that system progress, and you just don't. I could sit here and complain about features and stuff like that, but ultimately this mode, the fun of it comes from the game itself, ultimately, right? So I'm not going to complain too much about that, but I do think it is kind of a little bit ridiculous that there isn't any sort of like exclusive rewards for this. I haven't noticed anything of like maybe a special border you get for getting top 5%, or if you can put your rank and number in your profile title, which no one even freaking checks anyway. But it feels like this is a system that would be in the beta of a game. And I mean, you know, the whole joke and meme of Macedo is that this game has been in beta for the last like 3 years, and it's, you know, fully coming out of the beta. You know, I'm sure we'll get there eventually with the release of Cool Tune or something in 5 years. So I was really disappointed by, like, there's just not much to do other than Duel, which again, to caveat, I understand that the system itself is the dueling. It's like, that's where the fun comes from, is you play the game. God forbid Yu-Gi-Oh players play the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh game. I know. But I was just really blown away by that. Now, how fun was it for me personally? So last season I did it with Orcust. I never had a single fun game against Malice, and I never had a single fun game against Malice. This format, you can understand that that is just a certain type and vibe of deck that naturally does not constitute a fun, enjoyable game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been loving Dracotail. Something about this deck has been mostly clicking for me. I'm competent at it, I would say, at this point. I'm nowhere near as good as you could be with Dracotail, but it really teaches you and gives you an understanding of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you feel that third eye opening and how you approach hand traps and the mirror match and the foresight to play 2-3 plays ahead of your opponent. A lot of decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Sometimes do feel like very go fish. You do an explosive combo, you disrupt the right things. As long as you can identify the meta of where the correct disruptions are, you can put yourself in a very, you know, good position without being like technically super good. Whereas Dracotail mirrors usually don't really have like massive huge blowouts in them. You are going to have to go back and forth with your opponent for a bit to really come out on top. Sometimes your opponent just draws Faimina and Ketu more than you do, obviously, but there is a decent amount of back and forth. So I've been really enjoying that, and I really love that about the deck. And I would really recommend that if you are somewhat interested in Macedo, like, Dracotail is one of the best decks to actually get into the game with. It's very simple to play, but there is a massive gap between like entry level, upper level, very much like Sword Soul. I don't know what it is. It's something about these decks that really like sort of spark something in me, is just these sort of like middle range kind of decks that also have like really good mirror matches and stuff. So it's been really fun in that regard. So I think like my biggest form of feedback, probably more than a year later than it should have been, was the fact that there is just no real personal sense of progression. It's nice to see a number and a screen get bigger, 15, 1508, 1550, 1600, but at the end of the day, that's just the number that isn't really attached to a rank. And again, the percentage like hurdle, the next milestone you see, like, it just baffles me that this number does not update dynamically. Like, I feel like the only way to really understand or know this is to have a frame of reference from people that you are aware of that play. And I just happen to be friends with world champions who can tell me roughly whereabouts that percentage is. Obviously, it's dependent on the season, but it's like 1650 is like around about the top 5%. But I would never know this unless I just had that information fed to me somehow. So you as a person playing Masudo individually, who is somewhat competent and good at the game, who is able to reach this mode, you would just be none the wiser. You would just be playing, bashing your head against the game, floating around that 1550, 1600 threshold for a while before even realizing where you were in the grand scheme of things, because it's just going to say top 50% for that entire time. So I suppose this came across as a little bit of a rant of sorts, but I guess I just wanted to share my experiences in here. I had a great time with Orcust in the last season that I got this, and I went like 12-6 on my first day in ranked, which I think is a fairly respectable number. And then I had like some bad games off stream, and then it just all went downhill there for me. So I might try some sweaty tryhard ranked in the lead up to the DC Cup. I'm really disappointed that I won't be able to take part in this DC Cup. There's no chance I'm gonna win, but it would be really cool to see how well I could like do. So it's unfortunate, but I just have some other commitments during that exact weekend. But yeah, it's fun in the sense that it's dependent on the format. This is only going to be as good as the card pool and the current game of Yu-Gi-Oh! So, you know, hopefully they keep printing cards like Faimina, Ketu, Holy Su, and I suppose the K9s eventually when they come to Masudo. So Masudo is now going to enter this point in its lifespan where it's like the TCG, which was great for a certain period of time, is now going to enter that sort of deep Jush format over the next few months. And hopefully, it's going to be as good as the shufflers tell me it is. If you guys have been playing rated mode, let me know what your experiences are. Mine's is of genuine massive disappointment as to what is really available here. And again, it's not really expecting a lot because ultimately, like I've said many times, the whole fun of this mode is just playing the game. So yeah, that is like the most important aspect of this. But again, I cannot understate just how shocked I was at how bare bones this interface, this system is. Thanks everyone for watching my videos this month. I hope you've been enjoying the content. I'll see you guys tomorrow for some other cool stuff happening. Peace out. Good night. Adios.